Good day! In this video, I will show you what I have learned with all the tasks we did on this course, which is server administration. For task 1, setting up your lab environment. With this task, I learned how to set up a lab environment by installing VirtualBox and creating a virtual machine on it to our units to easily run multiple OS on a single host. I installed VirtualBox and created virtual machine. So for task 2, download and install Windows Server 2016. With this task, I have learned that before we choose or install a Windows Server, it is important or needed to know how many users of devices to determine which Windows Server to use. Also, the steps on how to install a specifically 2016 version to our units to set up computer server or Windows Server on our virtual machine. So I downloaded an ISO file from the internet and installed it to the virtual machine. For task 3, configure Windows Server 2016. With this task, I learned how to configure Windows Server 2016 by having a server name change in a way that will help to quickly identify the device, as well as by adding roles and features to have its purpose. In here, I installed the VirtualBox Guest Edition, change the server name, and add roles and features. So for task number 4, Windows 10 installation. With this task, I learned how to install Windows 10 OS to our virtual machine. So I installed Windows 10 to our virtual machine. Task 5. Joining Windows 10 computer to the domain. I learned how to join a Windows OS, specifically Windows 10, to the domain, which is the Windows Server 2016. Also, how to create user account on an organizational unit that have been created in the Active Directory, as well as how to add a computer in the domain. So in here, I created a user account and joined the Windows 10 to the domain. Task 6. Installing RSAT and creating user account, time restriction logon. I have learned how to download and install RSAT and its purpose to enable IT administrators to manage roles, features, etc. on a Windows server remotely. Also, how to create an organizational unit on both Active Directory users and computers and Active Directory Administrative Center, as well as how to create user account with time restriction in logging in. So in here, I downloaded and installed RSAT and create an organizational unit and etc. Task 7. dhcp scope and dhcp reservation. I learned how to create the dhcp scope and authorizing it, as well as creating reservation under the dhcp scope and activating it through command prompt and using the command \release and \renewed. So I created the dhcp scope and reservation. For task 8, so in this session, we created DNS host A record, DNS alias record, also created and link and unlink, rename and delete a GPO. So in here, we created DNS host A record and created a GPO and etc. Task 9, backup and recovery. In here, we install Windows backup feature, perform different kinds of backup which are full and custom, we schedule the backup, and examine the backup content and restore from a backup. That's all, thank you.